Good morning, traders. This is my morning brief video. It is April 30th, so be mindful of that, 2025. And like my video if you can, at the bottom on YouTube. I appreciate positive comments and anything you're seeing that I'm not seeing. Put down below my YouTube channel there. So, because we're all here to learn together. This is a free service I'm offering. And, retweet me if you get a chance on X or StockTwits if you get a chance. Okay, I post in both places. Um, but typically on StockTwits, I only use one ticker like the QQQ or the SPY. Uh, they have bots. If you put a lot of tickers trying to show something, they will block your post. So heads up on that. So basically, we're into a multiple week resistance at level right here. Okay, this is a prior week high, and we're right into that level again this morning. Some things I got going on this morning here. Roughly 90% of the overnight inventory is basically net short the close. Heads up on that. So we are primarily net short the close. As you can see, I have this uptrending channel here. And where in the heck would I come up with that uptrending channel, guys? And how I did that um, is let's see here. Let me get my little pin here. All right, okay, there we go. So anybody knows volume profile? Yeah, for some reason that's not showing up right. What's going on here? Why does it keep doing that? One second here. I might have to move this over my EpiPen real quick. There we go. Okay. So the bell curve. What the heck? Why does it keep doing that to me? Try this again one last time, then we're going to color. Oh shoot! I don't know. I don't know why it's giving me the arrow thing here. Oh crap. Okay. Well, at any rate, bottom line is follow my cursor here with your minds. So we have a bell curve on its side with the volume profile. And so we're in this upper volume profile distribution. We're trying to break out above that, on a week basis, trying to put value higher. And how I anchored this channel is right at the peak of that last volume profile. That is a major area, uh, the last place where any type of institutional participation came into the market. We're currently trading above that. So, bias is to the upside as long as we're above the week on week volume point of control, which is this yellow line here. So basically, we know last week a bunch of traders came in here, institutions came in here, and we are resolved based on their trades from last week. We are trying to push prices higher above that. So the big on these big volume spikes on volume profile, that's where the big institutions place their big bets in the market. Okay, and we're currently continuing to trend higher. But my main takeaway is most of the inventory this morning is below that trend early on this morning, giving us an early warning of uh, more weakness than we've seen in the pre-market this week. So this has given us a big warning that we might be having a trend change to the downside, and nobody knows how bad that could happen. But I just, we have to be mindful that that could be in the works here. And in that case, we would think that we could be coming all the way down and, negating this breakout move, possibly all the way. Our first main target would be 19,300 area, the volume point of control of the week. Okay, if we were to start getting some sell side action in today's market, so I'd be over 200 points lower, in a normalized situation, with ultimately our market maker move below being down here at 19,100 area, back testing these prior highs. That'd be a critical back test area, which, uh, actually on this breakout here, we have not done that critical back test yet, which this could be that red line right there. This could very well be playing out yet today, so be very mindful of that. We could be possibly coming back in for the back test in today's session. So be very mindful of that scenario, please. Why is that doing that? One second here. Okay, I got ESs up now. Okay, I figured out what the problem was now. So similar situation here. We are breaking above this prior week high here on the ESs in a higher distribution situation here on the ESs. Okay, our ES futures. Trend is up. Okay, guys. Bottom line is 90% of the inventory is net short of that trend of this bell curve breakout. Thinking this could be very problematic early on this morning. This could be very, very much problematic early on this morning. So be very mindful of that as we go forward in today's session. Okay, guys. So nobody knows what's going to happen. Ultimately, I did mention that the 5,700 and stuff were some targets of mine. So we got to see if buyers were to come in early on this morning. But right here, right now, the way price action is forming early on this morning, it's looking like a potential failure pattern. So be very mindful of that. Okay. Russell seems to be hanging in there just a little bit better. We're into this week on week high, just like the Nasdaq. Okay. And like I said, the ESs are actually breaking above that prior week on week high. So we have to be mindful of that. So we're right there. A couple little takeaways that I did want to point out early on this morning. Okay. Another thing, SMCI really took it on the chin. Just dated, and because of that, SMA. Well, it's not really showing it here. SMH took a little bit of a nosedive last night. Nvidia on 2% last night. As soon as that SMH came out, so this is a warning here. We're coming into a triple bottom. I don't like triple bottoms as support. Typically, triple bottoms, in my opinion, are meant to be broken. Okay, so be very mindful of that. Triple bottoms, in my opinion, are meant to be broken. So we don't know if that's going to play out or not, but more times than not, you will see a triple bottom be broken versus a continuation higher. So be very mindful here. We definitely got support right here. We have to actually confirm a break there. So we're technically into a potential support right there. Okay. So, we have to confirm a break. But I'm just saying, anytime I see a triple bottom, I always lean for the potential for the break is very high. And then we have Tesla this morning up here into resistance, still hasn't broken out. Really don't want to mess with it until we start accepting prices over 305. This here look above and fell. This here, be very mindful here. It's linked so much to the Trump administration. Having his big 100-day thing yesterday, this thing could have rallied for the big event, and this could be sell the news. So be very mindful of this. This could be very much a sell the news situation. Now, I do want to point out that we are still above last week's highs right here, right now on Tesla. Until we break that, you don't want to go overly short, and you could very easily be doing this. This is 4:30 in the morning. It could very easily be doing this well before 9:30, breaking the prior week highs, setting up a potential short. So be very mindful of that, in my opinion. Very poor structure. Okay, so there is very poor structure here that could actually support my thesis here. And as you can see, there's a little trend line there you can draw to. Um, there's a clear trend line right here. So yeah, they could very well want to come down, revisit this fair value gap here on Tesla. So that would be my primary thesis, that this thing is going to break down today. Okay. So that I don't want the video to be too long here. Uh, we do have Microsoft and uh, Meta, I think, reporting today. I was looking at this multiple top. We have, I think there's even more touches than that, than just three. Uh, you have to be very careful. You got earnings reporting here. A lot of times they'll do window dressing for the earnings. So you have to be very careful on this multiple top. Okay. Could be very much be window dressing into earnings. Meta reporting tonight. Snap report last night, I think. Yeah. Snap. The ad revenues were just quite ugly for Snap. Okay. Very, very ugly for Snap. And it got really taken to the woodshed. Now Meta, okay, guys, right into that resistance right here, going into earnings tonight. I shorted Google yesterday, and the reasoning for my Google short, if you go on your daily webs, and remember, Google's one of the first mega techs to report. This was giving me a warning. We gapped up. We had earnings. We gapped up. We went above last month's point of control. So this was the point of control built out from March. Okay, that's where major institutions were loading the boat on the put side. And what are we doing right now? We are trading below that price point, suggesting that institutions, as soon as we got back into this area where they once before loaded up the puts, they were re-entering short on Google based on the current price pattern. So be very mindful of this. Google had good earnings, and the price action, despite the indices going higher, is suggesting institutions are adding short side uh, bets on Google going forward. Going forward here, so be very mindful of that scenario. This is a big red flag in the markets. The fact that we've already had the earnings and we're coming down, and this is happening. And now here we have Meta tonight. Snap did really bad, and so we have to be very mindful of that going forward here. You can see on the monthly, yeah, Snap. See, Snap, we actually rallied up right into that March same situation, and wouldn't you know it, we're down to 784. We're right down here. Gave it all back. We're right back down into these lows. Heads up on that. Okay, guys. So we're right into the area where big institutions were loading on the bull side. Okay. So potentially, so they got squeezed. All these institutions that were loading up down here, they got squeezed. They may have been largely making bullish bets for the earnings run up. Well, they just got obliterated in the overnight session. Okay. So anybody, just be very mindful of that. This is where major institutions were loading the boat to the short side, and we came right up to that yesterday, and we just completely obliterated that. So I do want to point that scenario out going forward here. And let's see, let's check out SNCI there. It didn't quite make it, so it didn't get all the way back up there, but it got obliterated too. Okay, so just a few little things that I did want to take away. AMD is not there yet, so we got AMD coming up here as well. Is there any of these other megatechs? Apple's getting up there. Okay, guys, 210. So we're right. There's a fair value gap right here. So institutions, uh, you know, We have a double distribution from March for Apple, so that's given us a much more difficult read right here. So heads up on that one. It okay. Amazon's reporting too. Amazon, uh, it's acting pretty weak here. So the institution's really loaded up in March up here. You know, we're kind of in a little bit of limbo here on Amazon, which way, you know, based on what the prior institution action. Okay. And so you don't really see, given that we're in this part of the bell curve, you really, in an area here, the institutions aren't really loading the boat and in a directional trade. So be mindful of that as well. Okay, that just gives you a few little things that I was looking at this morning. Uh, Bottom line is inventories for the overnight session were pretty much predominantly net short, and we can't ignore that, but we're still trying to break above those prior week highs. So you're right there in that conundrum between the two opposing forces. Okay, guys, so be mindful of that in your trading.